Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with some more Dual Triangle event games as I'm wrapping up my missions here. I'm still sticking with Adventure Synchron, even though last time we did festival games with this deck, it didn't quite go as planned. You all saw those last week. If you didn't, go ahead and check out last week's video on the event where you'll see some live gameplay from me and my reactions to my first few games of the event. These ones are going to be replays as I've just been kind of rocking out these missions here. I definitely like to, when it comes to festivals, especially ones like these, or really just any festival, I like to wait a little bit for the additional missions to get added. That way I don't, end up wasting too much time on those additional missions for just a, couple hundred gems, right? I can just kind of knock them out along the way. So still rocking the same build as last time, and it's pretty similar to Adventure Synchron as a whole, if you're familiar with that. But for those who didn't watch the last video, the main difference in the ban list for this event is that the Wandering Griffin Rider is banned, as well as Poplar and Diabellstar. So can't use any of those non-tuner engines for this deck, but we can still use Adventure even with that Wandering Griffin Rider because the Illegal Knight is, well, ironically legal here. So yeah, we just use this as our level 7 non-tuner body because really in Adventure Synchron you almost never actually use the Griffin Rider as an Omni anyway, so it's really not that big of a deal. I think one of the most difficult parts about this deck, actually, well, with this iteration of this deck, is getting the Jet Synchron onto the field without using your normal summon. If you're going to be using Reborn Tengu as your non-tuner engine, then you need to be able to, well, normal summon this and not this. To that end, I have even considered playing 1-for-1 in this particular iteration of the deck. We do have Synchro Overtake to help us, but again, a lot of the way that we relied on specialing the Jet Synchron in the past, or in a non-event build, was either Diabell for OSS or the Poplar also for OSS. So extra deck is very similar to how you would normally play Adventure Synchron anyway. Of course, we're only, main difference is that we're including the Jet Warrior instead of Shen, I believe, was the one that we took out, and that is for the Synchro Overtake. But having to play the Jet Warrior is kind of the reason, one of the reasons why I don't always prefer playing Synchro Overtake in a non-event build, right? Although, like I did just say, to be fair, we cut Shen for the Jet Warrior, and Shen is something that really almost never comes up, but, and you can summon Jet Warrior and be at least somewhat effective with it. Love the Water Enchantress to 3, of course. Gotta give a huge shout out to that, as that has been a very nice consistency buff for the deck overall. I don't know, it's weird, right, because I don't really know that I have too much more else to add, especially about the event build here, but I do really like Adventure Synchron overall. I guess I could just talk about my feelings about the deck overall, right? It's probably no surprise that this is quickly becoming one of my favorite decks. Again, Hex and Synchro Summoning, name more iconic duo, but I just really do like the... I don't know, I've always liked the long form combo lines. I think they're fun. And really what's most fun about this deck isn't even just performing and executing the line to hand rip 3 and then set up Omni Negates. It's the fact that you can play through hand traps and boards if you go second while doing it. That's probably the number one kind of question I guess I get asked about this deck is like, don't you just lose if you go second or if you don't open, like if you get hand trapped? The answer is definitely no. For going second, Black Rose Dragon hugely helps with that. Black Rose Dragon can either wipe the field or proc a negate that would wipe the field. And if they like use a negate that doesn't destroy it, like a Valor or an Imperm type effect, then that's even better because then you have a level 7 non-tuner body to work with on the field. It's also a dragon, meaning it can be used with stuff like the Revolution Synchron, for example, so quite good, quite good. And like I said before, this deck actually does have a lot of natural ability to play through Disruption. You're going to see actually in these replays coming up here, we do play through quite a bit, even like so far as a Nibiru, right? This deck is capable of executing its combo line after a shocking amount of stuff. It really just does come down to how well you open, how much extension and all that fun stuff. I touched on this last time, but I think this is a point that really does bear repeating in that, this is a 2-card combo deck. Unlike most modern Yu-Gi-Oh decks, this deck does not have 1-card lines. So you do need to be mindful of your engine ratios, right? It's why we like having multiple access to our lines, right? Like I talked about the importance of being able to special jet synchron in case you open Reborn Tengu, right? But if you open adventure stuff, then you can normal summon jet synchron, and that's fine. Having multiple avenues to get to your combo line through multiple combinations of cards is very important, again, when trying to plan for a 2-card combo deck. Also being able to find lines that are a little bit outside of the box, right? Like sometimes I'll make Junk Speeder using Assault Synchron plus Water Enchantress, right, to make 5. It's another reason why I really liked Poplar and Diabell Star. Poplar especially, like a lot of people, you know, were like, oh, is Poplar plus Bonfire really better than Overtake? I think it is, because the level 1 non-tuner body can let you combo off in certain hands with like the level 4 tuner Stardust Synchron. Or also Poplar plus Diabell plus a level 1 tuner. That's a really easy way to make Trishula in this deck. That's 9 stars worth of synchroing with 2 or more non-tuners, again with the level 1 tuners. So yeah, I think that I think that you really do want to be playing Poplar. I wouldn't be opposed to playing Poplar, Bonfire, Diabell Star, and Synchro Overtake potentially. I might actually even test that out and go up from a 50 to a 60 card build for the main like ladder build, but that'll remain to be seen. So I'm not going to bother breaking this down because we've covered this deck fairly extensively this season. I'm just going to go ahead and start diving into some of these event replays here. Again, we're going to see some pretty nice examples of breaking through hand traps and boards and such. Alright, our first opponent is going to be on Tenpai, probably to no one's surprise. Not only just in dual triangle ladder, but in regular rank ladder. You have pretty good odds of going against Tenpai. I think, I touched on this before, but I think for ranked ladder right now, it's like in Diamond and Master, like 35% play rate for Tenpai, which is insane. So here we have Adventure Stuff plus Jet Synchron, but we also have this Small World, which is definitely worth noting in case our stuff gets disrupted, right? Opponent's going to Ash Blossom the Fateful Adventure, but thankfully for us, they did Ash Blossom at the quote-unquote wrong effect, right? They stopped us searching the Equip spell and not the actual Adventure monster. I don't care about not having the Equip spell here because the token is not going to stay on the field, right? Gonna go for my Illegal Knight and then dump the Jet Synchron, so special summoning the Illegal Knight. Opponent's going to Droll and Lockbird. This is somewhat of an issue, because it means that we are not able to... The main thing that it's going to stop, actually, for us is the Stardust Synchron search for Illumination and the Crimson Dragon search for Synchro Rumble. That's actually 2 pretty important forms of extension we're no longer able to go into, but we can definitely still make plays even under the Droll and Lockbird, so... Don't really know why my opponent bothered to Ash Blossom either, now that I think about it. They definitely should have just drolled after I added the Equip spell, would have been much better. So here I'm going to go for the unaffected Junk Speeder here, because I did notice that my opponent was still getting past priority, so wanted to make sure that I was playing around something like a Veiler or an Imperm. So you're probably pretty familiar with this by now, but in case you're not, the way that you can Synchro Summon Junk Speeder making it unaffected is through the effect of Excel Synchro Stardust, right? Because this actually does not have to use the Stardust that was summoned off the effect in order to Synchro Summon. Even though I just summoned the Stardust here, I can just sync the Jet Synchron Adventure token for the Junk Speeder, and the Junk Speeder, per the effect of Excel Stardust, is not affected by my opponent's activated card effects. Neither is the Stardust Dragon, actually, which is going to matter against my opponent's Nibiru right here. They're going to send all of my tuners to the yard, throw down the Nibiru, and then special the token here, right? But I can still summon the Rev Synchron. I actually have a ton of graveyard effects here. I can search for the Water Enchantress. I'll just do that right now, because why not? I can also use Stardust Synchron. I'm actually going to sack the Stardust Dragon to bring it back, which procs the Assault Synchron in order to bring back that Stardust Dragon. So, I mean, as you can see here, despite the fact that we had an early search stopped, granted it wasn't really that ideal use of an effect, but we're not able to search at all because of Joel, and we got our board wiped by Nib, and we're still having no issue finding plays here. In fact, I can even use my opponent's Nib token in conjunction with the now level 1 Rev Synchron to summon Crimson Dragon. Don't get to find Rumble here, which is a shame. That would let me pop off even harder, but I can bring back Jet Synchron, sync it with the Junk Speeder to make the level 6 Stardust Charge Warrior. No draw off that, but I can use 4+6 to make a Baron de Fleur here. I can use the Baron's effect to pop the Nibiru. Now I can use Crimson Dragon, targeting the Baron, put it back in the extra deck to summon out the Bestial Dissipator. Bestial Dispater can now activate the effect to revive my banished Stardust Synchron, banished by its own effect after it got revived, and now I can sync that with Stardust Dragon to make the Crimson Dragon once again. This will allow me to go into the Majestic Star Dragon, which I'm about to do here on my opponent's draw phase. Yep, targeting the Baron, get to summon another 10. Like I said, that's Majestic Star Dragon, which Majestic Star Dragon, for those who are unfamiliar or don't remember, is an Omni Negate that actually wipes the opponent's entire board. Now, during the end phase, it does put itself back in the extra, but I also get my Stardust Dragon back from the graveyard, so it's not a total loss even if I don't end up using the effect. And if I don't use the effect, I'm probably just going to end up winning anyway, so... Oh yeah, and because I get Ash, I can actually get the Draco back here. That's kind of funny. My opponent's going to lead with Dark Hole. I'm going to use the Baron first because, like I said, the Majestic Star has an Omni Negate that comes with a board wipe, so definitely want to save that one if possible. I'll negate and destroy the Dark Hole here. Opponent's going to Dora Dora. I know they're adding Shundra, so I'll just let them do that. And then when they go to activate the Shundra effect, I'm going to use Dispater, putting back one of mine to not negate, but destroy the Shundra. This will leave them with only one card left in hand with which to make plays, and again, I still have the Omni Negate plus board wipe on my side of the field. So there we go. Yeah, I think that was a pretty nice showcase for our first game here. Like I said, I really wanted to demonstrate that concern that a lot of people have had in the comments about, can this deck play through Disruption? Can this deck play through negates, through, like, if you happen to go second, can it play through stuff? And the answer is definitely yes. There are a lot of hands that can do it, and it's not even terribly difficult a lot of the time, as you saw here. So, all right, there is our first duel. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. Alright, this opponent is somebody after my own heart because they're playing Tri Brigade, which I didn't even think about for an All-Link Festival, and it kind of made me sad I didn't think about it, because that used to be my favorite deck, and it's been so long. I haven't even played Tri-Sprite yet this season like I said I was going to, so I need to get on that at some point. Alright, so this opening hand is a little bit weird, but I think we can actually make plays with this. I'm going to lead with my adventure stuff, then I'm going to normal summon Ash Blossom. I might use it to Synchro, but I'm actually just mostly looking to proc my Fateful with it. And here we have yet another opponent, Droll and Lockbirding here. This is the kind of hand where it's a little bit more of an issue. I was definitely relying more on being able to search that Illegal Knight and Synchro for 10 with the Ash Blossom, if nothing else. But I think even under the Droll and Lockbird, I can still make some amount of plays here. I'm going to use the Illumination to dump the Synchron, and then I can use Synchron F to sack the Ash Blossom, which will let me grab the Trail here. Now, my first thought was like, cool, I can go for Crimson Dragon, grab Rumble, maybe try something, but then no, I was like, Droll and Lockbird, that's right. So, what I'm actually going to do here, I'm just going to make an Omega and Hand Rip here. In hindsight, I probably should not have done this. What did we end up taking? Oh, we ripped Mercurier, that's right. So I saw Tri Brigade Mercurier, and I was like, okay, so it's someone unbranded for Team Fusion. Now I'm just going to equip the Draco back to the adventure token, then pass here. Yeah, looking at it now, I think that was a misplay to just go for the Omega and Hand Drip. There were a number of things I could have done. If Shen Shen was on my extra deck, I could have actually summoned that by banishing the Illumination to bump up the level of either Synchron or Trail. I really wanted to make Excel Stardust. It would have given me a token off the Trail, but the problem is I didn't have a tuner to bring back, right? Oh, and then the other option was to sync for 7 and make FA Dawn Dragster. But if you're going to end on just one body in terms of like synchroing, I think this is probably like one of the ones I'm the least confident in ending on. When I thought about ending on Dawn Dragster versus getting in one hand up with Omega, the one hand up with Omega just felt like it was better. So that's ultimately what I decided to go for here. Do have the call by as support as well. Oh, I also didn't address the elephant in the room here. The fact that I didn't call by the Droll and Lockbird. I probably should have done that. I almost assuredly should have done that. Like I said, if nothing else would have let me end on the Baron, but with this game, since it was a festival, I was like, let me see what I can do under Droll and Lockbird. Sometimes I like taking experimental routes like this. So here my opponent's going to normal summon the Rescue Cat, activate the effect. I'm actually just going to go ahead and call by that, and then they concede right away. So that's why I was kind of pausing a little bit towards the end of the game there, because I knew it was about to end, and I still wanted to talk about like the game state. That is one thing I've liked about doing the live game instead of only talking about replays, that you can see kind of my thought process, or I get more time to explain it instead of having to pause during replays, which I do understand some people find a little bit frustrating. So, but yeah, like I said, you know, in hindsight, I should have definitely called by the Droll and ended on Baron, and it looks like that probably would have been enough to stop my opponent anyway if one call by on the Rescue Cat here was, but There's also the argument that if I had made Baron, maybe they would have used like an Imperm on it and then gone for the Rescue Cat, and then I would have had counters to the plays. So, I mean, there's arguments either way. But yeah, we have at least, let's have one more game that we're going to watch before we end off here. Let's do that. All right, for our last game, we got yet another opponent who is on Tenpai. Some of the comments were saying that the dual triangle rules are typically that that you shouldn't get matched in the same group that you're in, or against the same group that you're in, but that if there aren't enough people in the other groups, then you do, which definitely makes sense, right? So here I decided to rev synchron tuning for the rev synchron. This play is going to look weird, but this is how I'm going to get to jump speeder this game. I'm actually going to make a turn 1 Black Rose Dragon and not activate the effect. That'll let me bring back the Reborn Tengu. Now I can revive rev synchron as a level 1. Ideally, or I was gonna say let me show the level changing there. Now, of course, ideally you would go 1+7 into Excel and then make the unaffected jump speeder. The problem is that Rev Synchron is on a level 2 or lower tuner. It's actually level 3. So because I don't have a level 1 tuner read, Valor or Jet Synchron in my graveyard, I'm actually not able to do the combo that way. So unfortunately, I just have to make a regular jump speeder that is very affected by card effects. And unfortunately for me, my opponent does actually end up having an Imperm here. So it sucks because it's not often that you have to make jump speeder this way in this version of the deck, but when you do, of course, they always have the disrupt for it. We're not out of plays though. I do still have this Assault Synchron. I also had the Small Worlds here. Oh, we'll talk about this in a second. I also had the Small Worlds here, which I could have maybe used, but without a normal summon and, having already used the Rev Synchron's effects here, I didn't really think it was that great of an idea. Well, I think you can use Rev Synchron as a material more than once per turn, but I would only really be able to summon like a Stardust Dragon here. Yeah, so they're going to get on my Assault Synchron, which also hurts. I was trying to go for, like, maybe Charge Warrior and seeing if I could draw something. But, nope, that's not happening anymore. I do have to just end here because I don't have any tuners on my field. This is, like, the only game I've played with this deck ever where the issue was not having enough tuners. So, they're going to go Pydra for the Sangen summoning, and at this point, there's just really not much I can do. I'm just going to have to go ahead and concede here because they are just going to end up having it. The thing is, like, sometimes you can have enough stats on board to dodge the OTK, but most of the time you have to have, like, more than one monster with more than 3k attack or defense in order to really be able to survive that off bodies. Or, if not that, be able to float into enough bodies during the battle phase to be able to keep yourself alive. And this was just not the board state where I could do that. So, unfortunately, like, I don't know. One thing I am starting to notice about Tenpai games, and I think this is something that, like, a lot of people, like, a lot of the reason why they complain about Tenpai is that, or why they at least, if nothing else, say that games against Tenpai are boring, is that it does, to a degree, kind of feel like you either combo against a Tenpai player and then they just concede, or they're able to out you and then you just concede. And I know to a degree that is just, like, how every game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Goes, but with Tenpai, you really do feel that reduced to a much more simplified game state, and again, I definitely understand the frustration that people feel when it comes to experiencing that. Not saying that I also am like, grr, Tenpai, it's awful, it needs to go away forever. I don't really mind it that much, but like I said, I do understand the frustration that people are experiencing. So, okay, that's gonna do it for games for today. A little bit of a shorter video, so, but hopefully you enjoyed these games all the same. I'm gonna stop yapping now. Let's just go ahead and move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down on there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free. And if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.